Alright, this is a general reading for the sign of Gemini. I'm going to do a tarot reading followed by an astrological analysis for this Leo New Moon on August 16, 2023. Now I already shuffled your cards, I started doing the reading and I was having technical difficulties. Odd issues. We're about to hit the Mercury retrograde here in a week or two. Yeah. So I wonder if this is just kind of par for the course, being that Mercury rules your sign. So let's get into it here. I'm using the Mythic Tarot from Greene. And I'm doing a 9-card spread with the bottom card and then a middle card. And I've laid the cards out, now I'm going to present them. So first card out, Ace of Swords. Now you see in this depiction, the Ace of Swords, it's held by a woman with a fancy hat. You can see the swords gleaming there. It's coming out of the illusion of the clouds, the imagination, the delusions, the illusions. Maybe in life you have been up and down many peaks and valleys. Gemini wind, you're close to gravity, enough to know the depths and be able to see the heights. Reaching is a choice. What's worth the reach? So maybe realizations are coming into your awareness right now about what's worth the reach. Cutting through some illusions. Next card out is Two of Pentacles here. The craftsman, the worker. This is someone that's been juggling the fruits of their labor with the labor itself, wondering, is it worth it? Now you can see this person's holding two different tools for the work that they perform. And there is an offering on the bottom, and it's basically the same pentacles. So maybe trading in one pentacle for a new ace, perhaps. Next is the King of Swords, very regal figure here. Very balanced in mind, but the emotions are way off in the distance. You can see that this King of Swords is holding a balancing tray, similar to the Justice card in the left hand, which is the feminine hand, and the sword in the right, the yang orientation. So maybe you're awaiting some kind of a judgment on something. Maybe there is a situation in life that's causing you to be King of Swords. Maybe that you've discovered this new realization, this Ace of Swords. You're making a King of Swords decision about what it is you balance your time and energy on in this world. What it is you're juggling. Next is the Queen of Wands. Now you can see she's holding the torch in her right hand. There's a lioness at her feet. Fertile valleys in the background. She's got a lot of passion, but she seems quite reserved in this picture, this depiction. The animal nature is present, but it's subdued, it's calm. It's waiting to be alive, enlivened. So holding the passion, letting it be a torch, a bearer for yourself, being the torch bearer for the self so that you can make a journey through the peaks and valleys. Rather than use the torch to burn whatever comes near you down. And here the next one is Three of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, Three of Wands. There's a king here giving up the crown for the creative vision. Maybe giving up the kingdom for new creation. The river in the background, it's an emotional flow. Maybe part of the Two of Pentacles, part of the Ace and the King of Swords is reframing what it is that feeds your passion for a more balanced, more suitable creation. Next is the Four of Wands. It's a progression here from the 3 to the 4. Looks like the king there is to the right holding that pentacle. And the guy that was holding the 3 now is standing there, arms folded, as you can see. So possibly the king was willing to trade in the crown, the kingdom, for the passion, and this guy decided to allow the king to keep the crown, but to accumulate the passion, the fire, the creative foundation, so that they can sail across the ocean of emotion. So rather than a river, we've got an entire ocean behind this foundation. Seems like an emotional fulfillment in that creative endeavor. Next we've got card of Gemini. I believe this is second deacon Gemini. 9 of Swords. The 3 hags here. Each holding 3 swords. We know what 3 swords means. It's the pain of the past, pain of the shouldas, couldas, wouldas, the loops, Medusa's stare, the expectations of past dynamics caught up in relational loops. Sometimes we can't see the delusions and illusions of what it is because we're tied up in processing the emotions through mental analysis. Closing the ears, focusing the eyes, studying the feet, paralyzed in that perception. This is part of the cultivation, though. This is how you become aware of patterns, propensities, dynamics in relation to things which no longer hold any valid gravity in your world. The expectations and relations of other people trying to hold you to a static image, hold you into the mind, keep you in an ego form which at best gives contentment, at worst gives you constraint. But it's so you can come to realizations here, so you can come to the Queen of Swords. So you've got the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords here. Now you see she's holding the sword in her left hand, feminine hand. The right hand is pouring the emotions out. So she's ready to pour her emotions out to those who are true, those with a cup. But if there is no suitable cup, it's okay, because she's content where she is. She's got foundation behind her, underneath her. In the distance, the field kind of looks like a lake. It looks like water a bit. The sky represents a clear sky. There's no clouds. There's no confusion in this queen. So maybe coming to terms with what it is that seems to be limiting you, if it has no bearing for the optimal expression of your future self, how can you release what those patterns are so that the emotions can flow? The mind gets wound up by the perturbations from deep within your emotional realms, deep within the river. If you save enough water for yourself, save enough emotion for yourself, and you're not giving it away to other people, then you're able to make more balanced decisions. Bringing you to the 8 of Swords here. So we go from the 9 to the Queen to the 8. The 8, now she's got 3 hags to the left. One hand up. Now there's an angel here next to her. It's almost like a realization of a choice that had to be made in the past that was put off. Accepting the truth of something you knew all along, and then just opening your eyes and accepting it, pulling the sword out with the stone. And I do believe the initial Ace of Swords here represents this process. From the 8 of Swords, we've got Justice was at the bottom of the deck. Another sword. And we've got the Balance, but you see with, she's the one holding the ace. So we judge ourselves harsher than anyone else ever could, and oftentimes that leads us to the 9 and the 8 of Swords. It's through the programming of our experiences. But what it does cultivate within us is wisdom. And what is wisdom? The owl here represents the wisdom. The owl sitting on the left shoulder where the balance is. So wisdom is essentially when you apply your experience, when you apply the knowledge of your experience for something that optimally expresses your potential. Don't hold yourself back in this world. Be bold and assertive and move towards that which is most enlivening for you, that which helps you to break free from old loops, the things that bind you, the expectations and limitations of egoic constraint, of relational dynamics which no longer serve. The contrast divide, you can see the checkered floor underneath. It's through the polarities that we gain the knowledge. And a lot of times it's just a realization we have to accept that we are not the static. We are not the judgment of past situation. We are the progression. So as we choose wrong, we can choose right. And we will. And as we choose right, we can choose wrong, and we will. It's just part of gaining the knowledge. And then when I split the deck, the world was underneath here. The quartering. So this is, you can see the feminine and the masculine combined here. This is very Gemini energy in this depiction. Gemini is also the magician, you know, and we've got all the elements, and this represents, generally speaking, the fixed signs: Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. But in this depiction, to me, at least in this reading, it feels more like the magician that's coming to the aurora borealis, the beginning and the end. A new evolution of a cycle at a higher expression. Using the delusion instead of castrating the meaning through conventionality and contentment. Not an easy energy process here, but it is very rewarding. It's about cultivating the passion. Your foundation of self starts with the passion. A lot of times we hold ourselves back, we get caught in the mind when action is the cure, because it impels you forward rather than paralysis by analysis. Then you are in response through applying the experience of the past, cultivation of wisdom, and you are in your motion. All right, so let's get into the astrological analysis here. All right, so this is a Western tropical chart for the new moon in Leo, August 16th. Now I've got this broken down into whole signs right now. Normally if I'm analyzing an individual's chart, I'll use porphyry house system. But for general analysis, it's just easier to do this because it keeps the houses generic so that we can express the energies. So let's look. First house, so Gemini, we've got Mercury, chart ruler, at its strongest in Virgo. This is where we break down the metaphysical expression of existence into the mundane. And this Virgo energy is being informed by the spirit of Leo, where this new moon is here. We've got a stellium, we've got Venus in a balsamic phase conjunction with the new moon, which is a re-understanding of the love of the self, the love of others, and an honest, true expression of our own potential. We've also got Black Moon Lilith here in a new phase conjunction to this new moon. First, let's talk about Venus. Venus is retrograde. She will be stationing direct at 12 degrees Leo in a couple weeks on the north node of Neptune. Now, this is a new emotional awareness that we're cultivating here in Leo, and it may be coming through the mind for Gemini risings, but you can apply that mental aspect anywhere it is in your house, or your chart, no matter what your rising sign is. Just blend the third house with whatever house Leo happens to be in for you. So what values have you withheld from expressing? What values have you withheld from yourself because other people had expectations? What was the programming of your upbringing? What imprinting held your value? How did you compromise in relationship to others, in relationship in a way which constrained you from expressing your true authentic nature? Maybe you weren't even aware of your true authentic nature because you were trying to find acceptance. You were trying to find safety. You were trying to be of service. You were trying to express something that was applicable to others. How can you now turn that in to be of service to the self, to rewild the child within and the purity of your own spirit so that you can bring that forward into this world in the alchemical wedding of life? Now, Black Moon Lilith here in a new phase conjunction. Black Moon Lilith to me is the anima, the repressed feminine within all of us. So how do you carry the torch for yourself without burning yourself and burning others? Now this is trining the North Node in Aries here. And Venus is trining Chiron. Chiron is in a working transformation with Mercury. And Mercury is actually transforming through the wound of the self. We've also got this Uranus square with the new moon exact. So bringing in a new expression of a higher mind through awareness of your spirit, which no longer fits into the paradigms of what has been. You are now able to find a more meaningful cultivation for yourself. And it's coming through in the realm of spirit. It's coming through an awareness of your emotional repressions. And it's also coming through the things that we have known, but we have not had the fire to act upon. We have not had the spirit to bring into form. Jupiter's also squaring Venus here. Expanding our awareness. The symbology of life, your dreams, they may be speaking to you. You may be seeing synchronicities. We've got Pallas Athena in a balsamic phase conjunction with Mercury, your chart ruler. So this is the power of the perception. Pallas Athena's higher intellect, higher wisdom. It is. She's like Pallas Athena, the Ace of Swords. It can be odd, it can be quirky. Maybe now you're finding the strength or you're finding the value in expressing your more authentic expression of your strangeness, of your quirky self. Maybe you're finding the language, the words, the symbology in life which is feeding your fire, giving you the strength, giving you the conviction of your own autonomy, your own spirit, to bring that forward into this world. Now, Mars is also in the Venusian decan of Virgo. We've got Mercury, Pallas Athena coming into a balsamic phase conjunction with Mars. We have this new moon that's coming up in the Martian decan of Leo, and Chiron over here in Aries, in the Solarian decan. So Mars is getting rewired. So it is our service to self, how we bring ourselves into this world that brings heaven to earth. We cultivate the foundation of the self and we bring that forward in life, and then life reciprocates that. Sometimes we haven't shored it up within ourselves, we just have the epiphany, the idea, and we move forward with it, and we work with the world, we work with others, relationships to help us forge that into existence. It brings the gravity to our awareness so that we can harness the tool of the mind and bring it into balance with our emotions, our passions, and our physicality, our form. Now Mars is in this grand Earth trine with Uranus and Pluto, and it will get stronger within the next few days after this new moon. And for this chart, it's the spirit, the ancestors, and its transformation. Pluto at the tail end degrees of Capricorn here. Now, Uranus is essentially the father of Saturn, the sky father. So when Saturn brings form, brings foundation to existence, our families, our ancestors, our cultures, our societies, our religions, our governments, all these things, when it settles into form, it begins to erode and it begins to fall apart. The Tower of Babel gets too tall and then it crumbles. And that is when Uranus is brought in as the sky father to seed us with new Saturnian energy, new spirit that we bring to form. And that's the torch we carry. That's the torch that this Queen of Wands is holding here. The same torch that's on the world card. So you are in a Promethean process right now, recalibrating the mind to match the passion. And it's about the foundation of the self and finding the relations which feed that foundation instead of keep you mired in the loops of old dynamics. Because we've got the North Node in Aries here and the South Node in Libra. And South Node Libra is doing your self-expression in maybe the way that you felt most authentically when you were very young, before the programming, before the convictions of others overshadowed your true authentic desires. Maybe your relationships are going to be done in different ways. Maybe you are going to be more balanced towards the self, not from the egoic perspective, but from the will. What can you attach a will to in this world which strengthens and brings you to an optimal expression of your life? How can you bring yourself into this world in a way that honors you? And then when you bring that into this world, then the world meets you in that way. It meets you in kind. We've got Ceres in the 5th house as well down here. The heritage, the bounty, it is the harvest. Pluto is also known to bring gifts of the ancestors to us when we are working with our transformations. So stepping into your fear and doing it anyways, knowing that you make your mistakes wise because you've got all these experiences behind you, the peaks and valleys. If you can step out on faith into that sort of understanding, then you will never fail. All mistakes are just more wisdom to be harnessed and cultivated through your awareness. So Saturn up here in the 10th in Pisces, the disillusionment of beliefs so that new spirit can be harnessed, brought into awareness, brought into being through following what it is that feeds your passion, what it is that liberates your mind. And we've got Neptune here also at the tail end of the 10th house, Plutonic deacon of Pisces, and it's in a yod with the South Node, and well, actually it's not in a yod anymore, but it will be in a yod with Black Moon Lilith here soon. It had been in a yod with South Node and Venus for quite a while. But this is a working transformation, so you're working new spirit into being through doing relationships in a way that you have not done before. And that's a relationship with the self, with your own self-expression, and with others, with this world, essentially. So we're all part of this cosmic soup. We're all in it together. We process and we cultivate psyche collectively through our individual efforts. And you've got the power here to do that for yourself, to end cycles and to create new expressions, bring heaven to earth in a way which is more balanced, where you've got all the elements at your disposal. Now it will take time, it will take effort, but that's life anyway. And we flow, so it's a good chart. It's a good reading. And if anyone can do it, Gemini can. So thanks for watching, listening, and being.